We've had a lot of rain. Well, we've had a lot of days of rain recently over the holidays. Inch-wise, it hasn't been a lot of rain that's come down, but it's rained a lot of days. Hasn't really dried in between. So, my outdoor arena out there has been a little bit wet. And like Hank here, I put a video up not too long ago of me working cows at a faster speed, getting him ready for a show that's coming up in just a couple of weeks. And hadn't been able to work out there. But what I have been doing is trying to keep him fit. Do some things in here, keep his muscles fit, keep his mind sharp, which is just as important as keeping his muscles fit, so that we're ready when that show comes. Hadn't been able to work cows in a week or so, but we can work on our roundness, body control, things like that that I need. And he's always hyper tuned into me. Right here, he's kind of looking for the stop. He's not really warmed up good. So walking him around. And Hank, he's, what is he, 12 now? Yeah, all horses are a year older on January 1. So I believe he's 12 now. So he's getting to the point where he needs to be walked a little bit longer to get him warmed up. Get him moving around. Kind of like me when I get up out of bed. I'm a little stiff. I got to walk, move around. He's kind of the same way. His mind comes to me a lot quicker than what a younger, greener horse is, but his body needs to walk and be flexed and warmed up. And that's one of the big differences between a younger horse and an older horse. A younger horse, you need to warm them up physically, but you're spending most of your time warming them up mentally. Where an older horse, one that's not as green, more broke, their mind comes to you a lot quicker because of all the experience of being ridden and what you've done with them. But it takes a little bit longer for their body to get moving around, get warmed up. And that's probably, I hear a lot of stories about horses being ridden way too young, and they break down when they get older. And that's possible. I'm not saying it don't happen, but I think what happens way more often, it isn't that they were ridden young. Must be a slippery spot there. It isn't that they were ridden young. It's that they weren't ridden smart. And that's the key. You got to ride smart. Come around this way and then we'll ask for a trot. He just got these shoes put on about 2 hours ago. So his feet are going to feel different to him. He didn't have a whole bunch of growth, but had some. I mean, they're all going to have some growth. It wasn't more than usual. So it's not like huge different, but it's going to feel a little bit different to him. And no, you shouldn't give them time to get used to it. It's not traumatic. It's not hard on them. Most of the time it feels good if it's done right. Just like you putting on a new pair of tennis shoes. You have all that support supporting you like a new pair of shoes does. Well, now when he's trimmed to his natural angles with a flat foot, a flat so that it lands like it should, and should feel good. If your horse is sore after he's trimmed, I hear this a lot. My horse just had his feet trimmed and now he's sore. Well, that's not a horse problem. That's a situation where your shoer took off too much foot. And if I had a shoer that was doing that, I'd be looking for another shoer. I've got my shoer I've been using for a long time. And one of the things that is really nice when you do have a good shoer is you can talk to them and say, the horse is doing this, and they can know what adjustments to make to fix that situation. And a good shoer is better with the hoof than a vet. If I have something going on in the hoof, I'm not calling a vet, I'm calling a farrier. I'm calling a good farrier, because he knows way more about that foot than a vet does. Vet knows structurally how it's put together, how it works, about lameness, that kind of thing. But the farrier is the one with the experience dealing with it every day with different horses. And he knows what helps, what don't help. And that's all he deals with. So if I got a foot issue, a hoof issue, I'm calling him a farrier. But you got to have a good farrier you can call too. So as I'm trotting him around, I'm taking a hold of his face, asking him to round up. He's wanting to tip his nose to the left just a little bit. He does that once in a while. A little bit of left leg, push the hip in. I'm wanting to exercise his mind, exercise his body. I need him to stay fit for when I show him in a couple of weeks. Here I'm using my leg back in the hip cue to push his hip around. Now we'll push his hip the other way. So every time, let's talk about that. Every time I ask the hip to go a direction, let's say I ask the hip to come this way, I'm gonna bring the head the same direction. When you use a hip cue, always bring the head the same direction. Never bring the hip away from, or the nose away from the hip. Always bring it to, bring them together, kind of fold them together. That helps to lift this shoulder. I'm pushing the hip in, but it's this muscle right here, this shoulder and this side of the ribs that I'm really exercising, getting to bring that shoulder up. If I have a horse that loping right, he wants to fall to the inside. He's falling to the inside because this isn't strong. I'm going to fix that by pushing the hip in and probably doing some counter cantering. So if he's falling into the right, in your right circle, I'm going to counter canter him in the right lead. We're going to go left. That's what's going to strengthen that right shoulder, so that when you go back to the right, he holds that shoulder up going to the right. I can keep that muscle strong by doing these trot bending exercises. It's like I don't need to make that muscle like super strong, like a weightlifter that's gone for lifting the most amount of weight for some record in weight. It's more like aerobic exercise, strengthening these muscles so that they can be used more efficiently, more correctly. I don't need him like a Mr. Universe muscled out strong. I need him more like a fit athlete, more like a marathon runner or swimmer. It's really, I think probably a swimmer is probably, to me, one of the most fit athletes. Maybe not. Put down in the comments, what do you think? What you think the most fit athlete? I think it's a swimmer. Tell me what you think. I used to referee high school football, and you run up and down the football field a pretty good bit. I was talking to some referees that refereed some other sports about what is the hardest sport to referee in the form of fitness, and everybody asked it by far basketball. So you don't run far back and forth a basketball court, but you're always running from one end to the other. You always jog to one end, jog to the other. So by far, that was sport where they did the most running was basketball. Kind of surprised by that. I didn't think of that, but that's true. It made sense when they told it to me. So tell me, what do you think is the most fit athlete? That's getting Pick his shoulders up, right up, push his hip in. Notice the direction I'm pulling my reins. We're lifting. I want to lift the middle. Scared him with my hand. I want to lift the middle. I'm not pulling down here. I'm pulling up. That's how I'm going to lift the middle. Now let's bend him the other way. There we go. Let's do a couple of stops. Just slow stops from a trot. Just to get his brain working. Exercise his brain. Kind of like a person that likes to read. Exercise the brain. Whoa. Good boy. And that's what we're doing out here. Keeping him fit physically, but also keeping him fit mentally. Exercising his brain. Running through the maneuvers. I don't have to go hard. I don't have to be 100%. I say there's 50% days, 70% days, and 100% days. This ain't even a 50% day, physically. But I can still make it a 50 or 70% day mentally. Round him up. Both legs. Squeeze, lift his belly, lift my hands. Now let's ask for another stop. Whoa. Good boy. I'm going to ask for one more stop, and I'm going to get him to keep backing up. I need to do more of that in my cow work because he's wanting to turn forward on the cow. I need him stopping and drawing back one step. And I'm doing that a little bit better on my cow work. So let's practice that a little bit. Whoa. And trot the other way. There we go. I'll take a minute and talk about what my legs do here and what they let my legs do working a cow. Let's get one more stop up here. Now watch, my legs are going to go forward and then stop. Whoa. And they're going to stay forward. Okay. So they're going to work really similar when I'm working a cow. When I stop, my legs will go forward. And then, something got my eye. The cow's over here, and we're going to turn this way on the wall. My legs are forward from the stop. I'll draw this leg back and put weight on it. And see how that got him bent that way. Now he's worried about the itch. That got him bent that way. And then we'll drive through the turn. I'm going to, whatever side I'm turning, I'm going to draw that leg back under me. Come around and come right at you and do that. So if I'm going to do a left turn on the fence with a cow, whoa. And I've got weight on this foot, my butt goes that direction, my foot weight on the hip, and that's how I do a turn in that direction. And that's physically how I ride it, but that also transfers from how I can practice it here. There, that's where he went forward there. Got to keep that backwards motion. There. That's the backwards motion we need on a cow. Ask for that again. To the left this time. Stop. There we go. Bring your nose around. Good boy. So I'll be practicing more of that between now and the show. Hopefully my arena will dry out pretty soon. It still looks pretty wet. Probably going to be dry by this evening and supposed to get rain starting tomorrow. Whoa. So this is Hank. I'll put a link up here to his playlist with his other videos on YouTube. Until next time, thank you for watching.